All right, hi, it's Chris Petri. Thanks so much for coming by, everybody. We're actually going to have a fantastic time. We're going to actually just do a little step back and look at some really fun and interesting work with the color wheel. We're going to actually create 2 color wheels in this video. You'll learn how you can just put together a quick color chart for yourself, a color wheel chart, using my standard palette that I'm always using on YouTube. So I've been using this palette for like 10 years now straight, and I haven't changed anything about it. I'm actually using this same palette for the last 10 years, and I haven't moved any colors anywhere. It's all the same colors every time. And this is how it's really a great way to make life really easy for you when you're painting watercolors. You'll always know where your colors are, and you'll always know your colors. You'll have them all memorized after maybe 6 months to a year if you're always putting your paints in the same locations of your palette. No matter what palette you use, it doesn't matter if you don't use this palette. You can use any palette, but as long as you're putting your paints in the same location, you'll memorize them and you'll have them really committed to memory. What we do now is we take that same idea and we come over here and we say we're going to create color charts, color wheel charts basically, that give us our primary and secondary and tertiary colors mixed from these colors right here in this palette. So for this first painting, our color swatch with color wheel, we're just going to basically take our 3 primary colors right from our palette. Cadmium red right here. So we're going to use cadmium red. We're going to use cadmium yellow here. And then we're going to use cobalt blue right here. Then from there, we're going to mix the cobalt blue, the cadmium red, and the cadmium yellow. And we're going to mix those into the secondaries, the orange, the green, and the violet. And then from there, we're going to mix it out even further and come up with our tertiary colors, which are more of our grayish colors, which are going to look really great in your paintings. If you can kind of start mixing out some tertiary colors in your paintings, those are the areas in your painting where you want people to just rest and relax when they're looking at your painting. And there's not too much going on in those areas, so they'll feel like it's really a pleasant, kind of relaxing part of your painting. And then when you want them to get excited, you put in some red or some green or some blue, some really high intensity colors. So we're going to discuss that in this video. And not only that, we're going to kind of take some other colors that we have right here in our palette and make a second color wheel palette the same way we did the first one. This way, we're just going to use different primaries. This one we're going to use, instead of cad red, we're going to use alizarin crimson right here. Instead of cadmium yellow, we're going to use cadmium lemon yellow, which is quite a bit cooler. You can see that. It's got that lemony look, cooler yellow. And then we're going to use the French ultramarine blue, beautiful warm blue. It's got a little more toward the purple. That French ultramarine blue makes some beautiful colors as well as all of these colors. Then we just mix those together to get our secondary orange, green, and violet. And then from there, we again branch out and we do our tertiary colors, which are, again, your really beautiful colors you can mix that are going to look great in your paintings. So if you use these color combinations, essentially you're going to come up with incredible, beautiful colors in your watercolors and in your compositions in your paintings. So let's get into this here. One more thing too is at the end we're going to do all the complementary colors in both of these color wheels. So both of these color wheels have 3 complementary combinations that you can do. Violet yellow, red green, and orange blue. And then we cover that for both of these color wheels right here, which are 6. And then you'll see how you can make some wonderful grays. Look at that. High intensity, grayish, relaxed colors. High intensity on the outer edges, and then more relaxed grayish colors in the center. So you're going to learn how, again, you can use just these two simple color charts mixed right from this simple palette right here that we use on an ongoing basis every week on my channel to come up with some great colors for your paintings. Okay, I hope this is going to be helpful to you. So let's get right into it and get started. All right, well, we're going to just keep working now. You saw just the beginning of the video, I covered just a real basic kind of idea of what we're working here on this video. Kind of like fundamentals, basics, but there's nothing wrong with that, going back and doing some fundamentals and basics work. Maybe, I know many of you that are on my channel for many years, you have all the basics under your belt. You understand the color wheel. You might have a lot of work with the color wheel and you understand all about, your primaries, secondaries, tertiary colors. They're kind of like a lot of people work on those, as artists. We kind of all maybe at some point we look at these type of things as watercolor artists, or if you started out with oils or acrylics and you're painting in watercolor now, whatever it is. And if you're just here starting for the first time, if it's your first time even stopping by on my video here, thanks so much for coming by. I really feel you're at the right place at the right time. Basically on my channel here, really all we do is just really, we try to create beautiful compositions and paintings each week as we work, but we're always trying to kind of cover the basics and fundamentals of watercolor as we're doing that, so that we kind of all learn and keep working on the fundamentals, and that'll always lead to better paintings. So you're always going to get better with the creation of your works, your paintings, your compositions, because we're kind of always touching on the fundamentals of what we're actually doing, the nuts and bolts of things. So that's why I really I'm excited to be here with you today, this evening, this morning, this afternoon, if you're joining at any one of those times. And what we'll do is, again, we're going to just create a simple color wheel. So I'll take a roll of tape and just make a circle like that. And you can all work along with this too. Please do this as we go. So you can kind of just have this. You might make yourself a little one-page chart. You can leave this in your studio in an envelope, or you can pin it up on the wall or leave it next to your work table, whatever you want to do. That's fine. Or you might just watch it and kind of memorize it as you go here. It's not too difficult. And again, I know some of you do know this by heart, so you really don't have to really take any notes, but some of you will probably take notes on this. So we're just doing a circle, and we're making a color wheel for our basic colors, our primaries and secondaries and tertiary colors. And then we'll explain everything as we go. So I just take the circle and split it in half. So I'm making a half of a circle here. Then what I'll do is I'm going to actually make two hash marks, one here and one here, and then one here and one here. And they don't have to be perfect. I'd say this is about 11 o'clock and 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock. So if you can imagine, if we're looking at a watch dial, we're going to have our first line we draw in right here, this vertical line straight up through the circle. That's going to be like your 12 o'clock and your 6 o'clock. We're talking watch dials here, or a clock. Then we're going to make 4 more hash marks, and we'll just go from the 12 o'clock position to the right and say this is about 2 o'clock there. Then we go a little bit further and we say that's about the 4 o'clock position here. And then again, we have our 6 o'clock already, our line is there. Then we come up here and we say, well, that's about the 8 o'clock position. Again, if we're talking watch dials or clocks. And then up here, we have about 11 o'clock. So if we do those quick few hash marks, that gives us pretty much our color wheel. And then we can just take those lines and then line them up like that and like this. Okay, so now we have the primaries and secondary colors for our color wheel all set up right now on this color wheel that we're creating. And then you can maybe clean up the outside of the wheel if you want. Take your time with this, don't rush. And then the next thing we're going to do is give ourselves a little bit of a help. Let's do our primaries first. So we're going to do our 3 primary colors that all other colors are derived from. So if you can imagine, if you just have 3 colors, red, blue, and yellow, you can create all other colors that you can ever create with those 3 colors by mixing them together in some fashion and form. So let's just start out here. I'm going to make a Y for yellow. And then I'm going to say this is going to be our blue. I'll put a B for blue. And then our R for red over here. So now we have our yellow, blue, and red. Then we'll get a paintbrush. Maybe I'll use a number 5 travel brush, Da Vinci Maestro travel brush. I'll rinse off the brush a little bit with some clean water, and we'll go right in and we'll start out with our let's start out with our red. So I'll use a cadmium red for my red to start with. And as you can see, we're just going to go in and carefully put that red right into the color wheel. And you try to get it in there nice and even and neat with the lines. So you just take your time. And I always have my hand resting on the paper like this on the table. I'm working on a table standing up. I stand up when I paint for YouTube. So I have a table that's pretty high. It actually is above my waist, I think. Let me take a look right now. Yeah, my table sits right at my belt line or my waist. And then the table is on a little bit of an incline like this, you know, so it's pitched up a little bit like this on an angle. And that's what I use, and I stand. And so that's how I work, creating my YouTube videos. And a lot of times if I'm creating paintings in the studio, I might be sitting at my lawn chair with my easel. But in any case, whenever I'm working, I'm usually always resting my hand on the paper, with my hand on the paper nice and stable, and then I just work my brush around from that point like that. So this way my hand is always resting, kind of like if you're just writing, like if you're writing a letter or you're making some notes or a postcard, or if you're just taking some notes at work or anything like that. It pretty much works the same way. With watercolors, I just rest my hand on the paper, whether I'm drawing or painting, and I just do the same thing. And this way I have good, strong stability when I'm painting or drawing. So now I have that first primary color into my color wheel, and we're just going to expand on this, and we'll go right next to the yellow. So what I'll do next is I'll use the cadmium yellow like that, and we'll just go right in and get the cadmium lemon or cadmium yellow, and we'll get that color in next. And these are the three primaries again that we're going to use, that all other colors are derived from. And then as you can see, I fill in that section of the color wheel like that. Rinse off my brush. And usually when I rinse off my brush, I'll just take a little bit of the water. Once I rinse my brush off, I'll dry off a little bit of the water on a paper towel or a tissue, just so I don't have too much water flooding on my brush. And then we'll go in and get our blue. And for our blue, we're going to use, well, let's use cobalt blue. And again, you can see my hand is resting on the paper. And you never worry. If you go over the lines a little bit, that's no big deal. I try to stay right on the lines, but if you go over the line, that's not a big deal at all. This is basically your color wheel. So we're just working with the idea of creating a color wheel so we can kind of just see what colors we have to work with and how we can kind of use them to create different colors from those primaries. And now that we have our primary colors, let's just start working on our secondary colors, which are derived from these three primaries. So our secondary colors, very simple. We're just going to mix our red with our yellow, and that becomes orange. So we can make an O there for orange. We'll take our yellow with our blue, mix that together, and we're going to get green. So we'll put a G for green. And then we'll mix our red and blue together, and we're going to get a violet. So we could put a V for violet. Purple. Purple is, interchangeable with violet. So you could call it purple or violet, whatever you like to do. So you can put a P or a V in there. That works fine either way. Tomato, tomato. And now that we have those next three colors sort of in mind, let's work them out on the palette here. So we'll take our red that we have, red and yellow, mix them together, and we'll get our orange. So cadmium red. So I'll get my cadmium red there. And then what we'll do is we'll take our yellow, which is cadmium yellow, over here. Now with making an orange, we're better off taking the yellow over here, right? And then slowly working in some of that red into that yellow, just so we don't create too much of a red. Like we want to keep it really like a nice medium orange. We don't want to go too much red with that orange. So I think that is a good orange right there. Let's see how it looks. Yeah, I think that looks fine. So that's a good cross between the red and the yellow. And that's our orange. And by now it's already drying. The other red and the yellow are drying, so we don't have to worry. If you think that your colors are still wet, when you're creating your next section of your color wheel, you can always leave a little white space like I am here. Can you see how I left that white space there? That's okay if you do that. That's fine. Then you can always go back in with a damp brush later when everything dries and just kind of fill in that little bit of a white bit of paper there in between the orange and the yellow, or the red, however that works out for you. But yeah, just remember, you don't have to paint right up next to your other colors. You can leave a little white space between each of the colors if you think the colors are going to start to bleed together and start to blend together and start to, like, you'll lose your boundaries of your colors. You want to keep the boundaries of your colors here. That's I guess what I'm saying is, let's keep our boundaries here with our colors. We don't want to get too colors infusing into each other too much at this point. We will do that later when we go around the color wheel with our other mixes from these primaries and secondaries, but right now let's keep these a little separate. If you can do that, that's better yet. And then we'll take our blue and we're going to create our green from our yellow and blue. So I'll do the same thing. I'll get my yellow, cadmium yellow, and then slowly work in the blue to that cadmium yellow so that I don't go too much overboard with too much blue into the yellow. So we want to have a good green there, and but we don't want to go with too much blue where we wind up making a really dark green. We want to make like a middle green, like almost like an olive green. How does that look? Yeah, that looks fine. So you can kind of see how we have a middle green here, not too dark, not too light. And you just pick up more of that color with your brush. Have a fun time with this. Have an enjoyable time. When you're doing exercises like this, it's almost like you're taking a little vacation with your art process, because sometimes just doing paintings all the time, we can get burned out a little bit and get like fatigued by doing just paintings all the time and thinking we have to just keep creating painting after painting after painting. Once in a while, it's fine. Take a break. Work on some exercises like this, maybe some brushwork exercises. Go back. I have tons of videos on brushwork and color mixing, and maybe you can work on some other things too, just so you don't, watching videos, watch other YouTube channels. You could go back into my old archives. I have like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of other videos you can check out. So you have tons of information to work from. Please don't get burned out and want to wind up giving up on watercolor. If you find you're getting burned out a little bit and you're getting tired of it, that's the perfect time. You just do some of these exercises for a few months or something and just take it easy, pace yourself, do some exercises. A couple months later, then you're ready to come back and start picking up and creating more paintings. I know some of you are more aggressive. You want to just be doing paintings week after week after week, and that's fine. I totally, understand that kind of thinking. But when I was coming up through the watercolor ranks, and I'm still obviously working hard and trying to better my artwork all the time along with you as we're working here, I find that I really do like to once in a while take a little break and just start doing some of these, going back to the basics, going back to the fundamentals, working on my color charts, color wheels. What colors am I mixing? I can always think to myself, wow, I could always go back and mix some colors and see if I can find some mixes of colors that might look really beautiful that I never tried before. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do here. And we're going to eventually get to that in this video. We're going to keep working this. We're just getting started here. We're just getting warmed up, so to speak, okay? So let's keep working here. We got our green secondary colors. So now we're, again, working on our secondaries, so we could make some notes on our chart here just so we don't get too far ahead of ourselves. So I'm going to find myself a Sharpie marker if I can. Let me see if I can find one over here. All right, so we'll use the pencil anyway. So let's call this primary, primary, primary. No problem if I started a little bit too close to that. Not a problem. Let's start over here. Primary. You can go back over. You can wait till it dries 100% and go over with Sharpie markers or something like that. Not a, you can do that. Primary. So that's our primaries: yellow, red, and blue. Then now we're doing our secondaries. Secondary, secondary, and secondary over here. So these are our secondary colors: green, orange, and violet, or purple. All right, so we are almost finished. Let's just take a quick break and we'll come back and finish with our purple, our violet color, to finish out our primary and secondary colors, and then we'll go in and do our tertiary colors, which are going to be mixing our primaries and secondaries together to get our tertiary colors, which is our third color mix, reducing or mixing. As we're mixing out from this color wheel, you notice we did our red, yellow, and blue. When we mixed our red, yellow, and blue combinations together, going around the color wheel, we got our secondaries. We could even highlight those. So we could take a yellow and say, okay, secondaries, let's do some highlights on those. Secondary, highlight there, and a highlight here on secondaries. Okay, so that's our secondaries. And maybe on our primaries, we'll make an underline there, like that. Okay, so we'll try to stay organized with this and keep focusing in on it, and I'm sure you're going to gain a lot from this, especially if you haven't worked on this before, because I know not everyone has worked on some of these basic fundamental color mixes and color charts and things like that. So we're going to have a lot of fun doing this, and we're going to keep going. We're going to probably work for the next hour, so I'm hoping you'll settle in, grab a cup of coffee, cup of tea, some water, iced tea, whatever you like. Stretch your legs once in a while when we take our break, so we'll take a break now, and then we'll come back in a few minutes, and we'll keep working. We'll finish up our violet, which is our last secondary color in this combination of colors, and then we're going to go on and do our tertiary colors, and that's it. Then after that, we're going to start having fun and taking some of the colors in our palette here and mixing those together and seeing what kind of effects we can get with those, okay? So this is going to be a great, fun time of learning about color mixing so that you can have interesting colors in your watercolors, because sometimes we can scratch our heads. When I did this many years when I was first starting in watercolor, I didn't know what colors to mix together. I didn't know about really a whole lot about color mixing and color wheels and things, and then I eventually saw a video on YouTube about it, or I saw it in a book, and then I started researching a little bit, and then I kind of went from there. And it's the same thing for everybody out there. If you're new here again, or if you've just been painting for a while and you haven't really covered something like this will be great for you. And if you're just even an old grizzled pro and maybe you just want to have fun and follow along here, maybe see if there are some new things you'll learn as we go through this video. And again, there's nothing wrong with taking a break a little bit, taking a little bit of downshifting the gears and slowing down a little bit and just doing some real fundamental basic things and just having a fun time with it and relaxing a little bit and not having to feel like you have to create a masterpiece painting every time we get together. Okay. All right. So let's come back again in just a few minutes. All right. So we're just going to get rolling again here. Let's create our violet color. And that's very simple. We're just going to go in and use the same colors that we've been using in our color wheel to create all these colors and color mixes and variations of colors. So what I'll do is next to create our violet color, we're just going to use the same colors we're going to use cadmium red and cobalt blue. So we'll go right in and grab some cadmium red, and I'll rinse my brush off a little bit, and then I dry it off on a tissue. I dry my brush off on a tissue just so that I take some water off that. I don't want too much water on my brush. And we'll go in and get some cobalt blue, and we'll do that. We'll get a cobalt blue up here. And then what we'll do is we'll just merge the two, cobalt blue and cadmium red, and kind of see if we can get a good purple with that. I think we need the more blue in there. And that looks like a pretty good purple from in the palette. Let's see how it looks on the color chart, the color wheel. I think that looks fine. I think that looks like a good purple. And again, this is just the start. You can use other colors, and we'll explain this a little bit later in the video, how there's other primary colors that you can use to create the same color wheel. So we happen to be using these colors we chose from this palette, but you can notice I have 3 different blues on my palette here. So that means we could have used, well, used cobalt blue, but we could have used French ultramarine blue here instead of the cobalt blue, or we could have used cerulean blue here. So that gives you more options. So you could actually create numerous color wheels just like this, but using different blues in the different paint selections that you have in your arsenal of colors. So you might have in your studio 30 tubes of color, and you might say, oh wow, I could make like 10 color wheels because I have like 5 blues and I have like 7 yellows and I have like 5 reds or whatever it is. You could take all of those and create the same effect here, the same color wheel, but just using different colors. And then you would label this, the colors that you use. So you might just go, you might go to the next level and say, okay, now I'm going to start primary, and then you might label this one cad yellow. And this one is primary is cobalt blue. So you would write down the colors you're using. Red, we used cad red. And then you can come over here, and at this point you already know you started out with these 3 primaries, cad yellow, cad red, and cobalt blue. So now you kind of already know you mix cad red and cad yellow to get your orange. So once you start out with your 3 primaries, you just stay with those 3 primaries and you just keep mixing from there out. So you're not changing those 3 primaries. Once you start your color wheel here, you're going to keep working out, and we're going to show you next the tertiary colors. So this green is really a cad yellow and cobalt blue green. And this purple or violet is a cad red and cobalt blue purple or violet. And this orange is a cad red and cad yellow orange. So you kind of will already know that when you just look at your primaries, and you'll know, oh yeah, cobalt blue mixed with yellow gives me this green. Cad red mixed with cobalt blue gives me this purple, and so on. So that's really, but it's good to capture what colors you start with. That's all you have to really do, is make sure you stick with those same colors as you go in your color wheel. So we're going to stick with these same colors right here to do our tertiary colors. So our tertiary colors, we're just going to bring those out like so, like this. And we'll extend them out a little bit beyond the, like this. So I'm just using the lines that are already here and just extending these out a little bit. And we'll adjust them as we need to, just so we can kind of see how we're going to keep working these. So let's just kind of cover this here. So we did our primaries, so we're just going to say primaries, primary colors, secondary colors, and tertiary colors. Okay, so we're going to stick with the same colors again here. Our 3, now we have 6 colors all working in the same kind of mixtures to get our tertiary colors. So what I'll do is I'll try to see if I can find a stencil here. And I do see one right here I can use. So maybe I'll use this one here. Yeah, this one looks pretty good. So what I'll do is I'll just take my stencil here. This is a Statler stencil. You can find these on Amazon. And incidentally, all my art supplies that I personally use for my watercolors are down below in the comment section below. So if you just click on more, I think there's a word, or there's actually in the comment section below, right below this video on your screen, you might see the word more. You click on more and you'll see all of the links, and all those links go to Amazon. And then when you go to Amazon, you'll see that all those links are for all of the art supplies that I use. And these are art supplies that I use all the time, and I definitely can tell you they're going to work great for you. And you can even shop around. Once you go on Amazon and you might look at some of the art supplies I use and you say, well, maybe I'm going to do something a little different, or I want to try something a little different than what Chris is using. That's fine too. But at least you'll be kind of like seeing what I'm using, and you'll know that what I'm using is really good and will perform for you really well, because I wouldn't put it on there if I'm using all the art supplies below in my list of all those links you see below. I use all those art supplies personally, and I wouldn't put them on there if I wasn't using them. So you'll see if you go back to all of my videos, and even as we work now, I won't put anything on there that I don't use on a constant basis, because I only would put on my list of art supplies ones that I use and I know work great. So it's as simple as that. So now we're going to do our tertiary colors, and I'm just going to use my stencil. And these stencils are widely available on Amazon, or you can go to any art supply stores that you might have in your local area if you like to go and shop at your local area stores. They should have these Statler. This one happens to be a little different. I thought this was Statler. This is Rapid Design. So you might be able to look up Rapid Design on Amazon to find this template. But these are really fantastic templates. You can see all the different sizes you have, options you have with circles here on this. So now we're going to just start mixing our tertiary colors. And again, we're just going to use the same colors we started with. And that is what we're going to do. I might empty my water at this point and start out with some more fresh water. I always do that. I just, every once in a while, every 10, 20, 30 minutes, I change my water and pour fresh, clean water into my water bucket. Okay, and then let's do our red and orange together. So this was our red and our orange. Cadmium red, cadmium yellow. And you can see how that's a beautiful, like, kind of a more rich reddish orange. Like a rusty orange. Oh, that looks great. So now your tertiary colors are going to really start to look really beautiful, because they're sort of, you know, getting a little more complex and rich in like different colors mixing. Let's try orange and yellow. So we'll do cadmium red, cadmium yellow, and cad red. And we might need a little more yellow in that. And that looks really good too. Kind of like a pumpkin orange. And let's go with yellow and green. So we'll take our primary, yellow, and then our green, which was green and yellow mixed together, which is our blue. So we have yellow and green mixed together. And I'll just add a little more yellow to it. It's kind of it's more of a yellowy green, like that. That looks great too. That's like a really lively green. Maybe if you're painting some flower paintings and you want a really bright, kind of beautiful green, that's kind of really feels like it's like sunlit or something like that in a painting, or some bushes or trees with sunlight. That's kind of like your yellow and green mixed together, which is your primary yellow and your secondary green together. All right, let's go with our cobalt blue and green. So if we go with our cobalt blue and green, wow, we're going to get a nice cool green. That's a nice cool green there. That might be like a nice shadowy green kind of color. So it's, you can see it's kind of got the warm green, and then which is the yellow and the blue, and then you add a little more blue to it, and you get that kind of cooler green. Okay, now we're going to do our blue violet together. So we're going to take our violet, we have that, which is here, our violet, and then we'll add some more blue to that and see what we come up with. That looks really good too. Yeah, that looks really good. That's kind of like your violet mixed with that blue, gives you a little more of a blue, like a violet toward the blue. A cooler violet, or a touch of a warmer blue. Depends on how you look at that, but you'll see that if you mix violet and blue together, you're sort of taking the violet, which is a little warmer, because the violet's a little bit more toward the red, because we mix blue and red together, we got the violet, right? So you have the violet, then you take that violet and then you go back and you add some blue to it. That gives you a little more of a cooler violet, or a warmer blue. So that's kind of how we can look at these things. They're really, if you think of it as warm and cool, you kind of start to get a feel for like the colors that we're mixing, how you're getting warmer and cooler colors from whatever you started with. So now we're going to go and we're going to mix a violet. So let's just create the violet again. Blue, cad red. That gives us our violet. A little more blue we need for that. Okay, so now we have a little more blue. Okay, that's our violet. And then we add a little more red to that violet, and that's going to be a warmer violet. As you can see, we're having a violet color now. We just mixed the violet again, then we added a little more red. So we're mixing red and violet. And we'll see what a beautiful color that is. Wow, that's great. That's like flower colors and maybe sunset colors. But you can see how that's sort of that cross between the cad red and the violet. Beautiful mix there. So you can see how you can really get some wonderful, beautiful kind of grayish mixes from your primary and secondary colors, which are your tertiary colors. And we'll just, again, we'll make just a few more notes. We'll just call these our tertiary. And it helps to kind of label everything so you just have it on there. And if you ever want to refer back to it, you'll remember, oh yeah, we did the primaries first, then the secondaries, and then we did our tertiary colors last. And this is really it. Once you have this color wheel completed, and then you make your secondary colors, and then now we're bringing out the final, or not the final, you can keep mixing these out further and further and further. You take your tertiary colors and you can even mix them out together, and you can find you'll have other really beautiful colors from those. But for the most part, if you stick with this kind of formula of your primaries, your secondaries, and your tertiaries, that's plenty of mixtures that you can create for your paintings that are going to give you all the colors you'll ever need, really. And you can adjust them and even make them different. And we're going to actually do some more. We're going to actually do a lot more colors once we're wrapped up with this right here, which we're actually pretty much finished. I think the only thing I wanted to do was maybe highlight the these other. So that's what we'll do. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll highlight the tertiary notes here with another sharp, with a highlight color. So this way we kind of have them all highlighted really nicely. And then from that point, everything will be organized nicely. It'll be a great color chart you can just refer back to. And this is really a simple chart too. I think this is like a, yeah, this is a 7 by 11. So a 7 by 11 watercolor paper. This is the Fabriano Studio watercolor paper, which I have in the comment section below. There's a link to it on Amazon, or you can just type in Fabriano Studio watercolor, and you'll see the paper they have there. They have it in pads. I usually buy the 11 by 17 pads of Studio watercolor. It's inexpensive. It's great paper, and it's affordable. And that's the thing too. You will notice with watercolor, paper almost seems to be like, you can get away with like inexpensive brushes, and you can get away with inexpensive paints sometimes, but your paper really will affect your watercolor outcomes when you're actually, and your results when you're painting with better paper or inferior paper. So if you could use the Fabriano Studio watercolor paper, if you can grab yourself one pad of that and work with that, you'll notice your watercolor results are going to be incredible. And that's if you're using maybe some other papers that might be out there on the market that are, you know, maybe not as expensive. But I really, that was one thing I learned quite a number of years ago when I was kind of just starting out in watercolor. I realized sometimes I would paint with better paper and my results would be so much better and it would be so much more fun painting. Whereas if I used paper that was really inexpensive, I noticed I had so many problems, like the paint would just be spotty looking and I couldn't work with it too long. If I just put one brush stroke down, I couldn't go back in and adjust that brush stroke and mix out some of the paint. You'll kind of find that your paper is really critically important with watercolor, that's for sure. If you're painting in oil painting, canvases, you can really get away with anything. But with watercolor papers and watercolors, paper is really important. So just a little, tidbit of information, to be kind of cognizant of your watercolor paper, and maybe you'll want to experiment a little bit when you can to see what kind of results you're going to get with either the more inexpensive brands versus the more expensive brands, or the moderate, price range for your papers. Okay? All right. Let's come back in just a second. Okay, so we're going to keep working along here. Maybe I'll tidy up my palette a little bit. I'll just get a little bit of water on my paper towel here. We'll just take off our colors here. It's always good to keep your palette kind of clean, so if you're mixing lots of colors, it's definitely an advantage to use some paper towel and dampen it up with some clean water, and just, avoids mixing too much muddy paints. Let's primaries. Let's highlight these. I think that'll be good. So let's do pink for primary colors like this. And these were the primaries. Primary there. Primary there. Primary there. Okay, we have our primaries in pink. Secondaries in yellow. We'll do our yellow. It's good to sometimes use highlighters to kind of color code things. Just especially if you're going to be making other color charts like this one, and you're going to keep making 5 or 6 of these color charts with all the different colors you might have in your paint selections. I know many of you probably are like me. Over some years' time, you'll have a stockpile of all kinds of different paint tubes and colors, and maybe you want to break them out and start to create all your different colors with different colors, different brands of paint. You might have different tubes of paint that are different brands, Winsor Newton, Holbein. You might have some Grumbacher. You might have some, what else is there out there? You name it. There's tons of art supplies and paints out there. Daniel Smith paints. What else do we have out there? Let's call out some paints. What do we have? What else is there? tertiary colors. We'll highlight these, tertiary. The only thing negative about putting some highlighter is you're introducing colors visually onto your paper that might affect the way you're seeing these other colors. So maybe this isn't such a great idea using the highlighters. I don't know. Maybe it's okay to do that. I'm not sure. In any case, I think it is good if you can highlight because it does organize things a little bit. And let's grab some more paper. I'm going to peel up this here. So I'll take this. I just use standard drafting tape to tape down my paper, my watercolor paper. We'll set this aside. We'll get another bit of paper to create more mixes now. I'll tell you what, I think what's going to be fun is let's create another color wheel with different colors from this palette. And I think we'll find that we're going to have a fun time doing this. So I'll tape this down one more time just to have some tape around the outside of the... It's always good to have your paper taped down so it doesn't move around. I noticed that that's really a very big help when you're painting. And I'll do a little more tape here, one more down here, and one more bit of tape down here. Okay, this one we're going to go a little quicker on because I don't want to take too much of your time. And we're just going to do the same process we did before. We'll just move a little faster. Again, we said we were going to make a center point, 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock. We'll make our line. That's the first vertical, perfectly vertical line right through the center of the circle. Then we said we were going to go with 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock and 11 o'clock for the other divisions, space divisions of our pie chart or our color wheel. Like that. Doesn't have to be perfect, just as long as you get those divisions, space divisions, somewhat accurate, you're okay. Then we're going to go again with Y for yellow, B for blue, and R for red. Now we're going to take our same brush we used. We might spritz our palette just to moisten our colors up a little bit with a spritzer bottle, a Holbein spritzer bottle. You can get these on Amazon, very inexpensive, and this is like a main tool of a watercolor artist. You're always going to have a spritzer bottle. You'll spritz your colors to moisten up your colors. You use your spritzer bottle to clean up your palette if you want to clean up some of the kind of like the muddy colors that are on your palette. You want to keep your palette looking clean. Maybe you use your spritzer bottle to spritz on your painting once in a while to kind of keep your painting moist. If you want a couple washes on your painting, or for different effects, you can use your spritzer bottle too. So spritzer bottles are really fantastic. Definitely would recommend that everyone has one of those, or a couple of these, 2 or 3 in the wings. All right, so now yellow. Instead of using the cadmium yellow, we have other options here, right? We could use, actually we have another 3 yellows. We have yellow, lemon, we have 4. We have lemon yellow, cadmium lemon yellow. We have raw sienna and yellow ochre, which are very, very close in color and hue. Raw sienna, remember, is more transparent, and yellow ochre is more opaque. And we'll cover another video where we're going to do another video actually very, very soon. Again, because once in a while we're going to put one of these videos here where we're going to kind of just go over some basics, fundamentals, some kind of like, good information you need, you probably want to know, or you at least learn about a little bit. In this way, if you want to go back to it at some point in time, you may go, oh yeah, I remember Chris talked about there are some colors that are more transparent, which are see-through or really, really translucent, and then you have other colors that are more opaque, that are kind of hard to see through, and what you won't see too much light bouncing back up through your painting, through your watercolor paper back. So there's some different things you can kind of, utilize with watercolors and paint colors that can, you can use those different variations of colors and opaqueness and transparency in your paints to kind of create different effects in your painting. So that's something good to know, but it's nothing crucial. It's not crucial, but it is something good you can learn about, and maybe you'll use it to enhance the beauty of your paintings, make your paintings look more pleasant and positive and pleasing looking. And so anyway, let's keep going here. So again, we have the choice of, we did cadmium yellow. Now we can use cadmium lemon yellow for our yellow, or we could use raw sienna, more transparent, or we could use yellow ochre, more opaque yellow, and we can even use raw umber. Raw umber is almost like a yellow. It's like a darker yellow, more closer to brown, I would say. But still, let's stick with, all right, we have 4 choices now, or 3 more choices now for our yellow. We already used the cadmium red up here, a cadmium yellow up here. Now let's go with the cadmium lemon. Cadmium yellow lemon. Let's do that. And again, my hand's resting on the paper, and then I just use my brush almost the same way I would use our pencil or our paint or anything else. If I'm same as if I'm drawing or writing a letter or a postcard or anything like that, or just doing some notes. Kind of the same thing with the paintbrush. Okay, there we have our cadmium yellow lemon right there. Then for our red, let's do something interesting. Let's go with alizarin crimson. And that's a beautiful red. That's like a rose red. And blue, well, let's go with our French ultramarine blue. And again, hand is resting on the paper. If you go over the line a little bit, no big deal. Okay, there we go, our 3 primaries again. We can always go back in, and we can just go in primary. Primary. Primary, and then you can put the color. And you can abbreviate alizarin crimson. Primary, you could say French ultramarine blue. You don't have to write out the whole thing. You can do some abbreviations where you would like to. And this one here, cad yellow. Okay, primaries. All of these are primaries. Now we're going to go to our secondaries again. Secondaries, let's mix here our secondaries. Start with, we'll do our red and our yellow. Red, alizarin crimson, and cad yellow lemon. And I would say put the lemon, cadmium lemon yellow first, and then just add a little touch of red to it as you go, because as you can see, I had to mix a whole lot of extra paint to get it back to where it needs to be. And you can kind of see when you mix the cadmium lemon yellow with the alizarin crimson, you pretty much get a raw sienna, or like a yellow ochre. So if you ever run out of yellow ochre and you need yellow ochre, you can mix alizarin crimson and cadmium lemon yellow, and you get yourself a beautiful yellow ochre. No problem. And then here, let's go with yellow and blue for our green. So let's go with our yellow first. That's a lighter color. So in essence, you might think of it this way. If you go with your lighter color first and then you slowly introduce the darker tonal value of the color that you're mixing in there, like that. So you have your French ultramarine blue now. We're going to try to make a green, which is in between the cad yellow and the French ultramarine blue. Take just a little bit of the blue first and start mixing that into there. So you add the blue in slowly to get that green, and that looks fine. And that's a really gorgeous green, and as you can see, sometimes I lean in to my paint somehow, and next thing you know, I have paint smudges. Don't worry about your paint smudges. If you get some on your hands, I always just do the quick little, I use the spritzer bottle, spritzer some water on there like that. I wipe my hands off first on the paper towel to get the paint off that I've leaned into or whatever it is, like that. Then you can take that same paper towel, spritz it again with a little bit of water, and then see if you can just lift up a little bit on the paper there. And you'll be surprised. Most times you can lift up your smudges off your painting like that. See how we did that? Very simple. Doesn't always work out that way, but sometimes it does. So it's and as you can see, we're going to make our green now, our secondary. And that is looking really good. That's a beautiful medium tonal value of green. Almost like a olive green. And now let's do our final secondary color, which is going to be cobalt blue and alizarin crimson. Alizarin crimson. Rinse off my brush. French ultramarine blue. A little bit of the blue in there. And we're going to try to get we're getting a violet color basically. A little more French ultramarine blue. I think that's good. That looks like a really good, violet is beautiful with a alizarin crimson and cobalt blue. Look how beautiful that violet is. Very transparent. Great for shadows, right? Can you see that? How beautiful that would be for shadows, because it's very transparent. So you know how shadows are kind of light, but they have that nice purpley, cool color to them. That is perfect for. So you can make great shadow colors with alizarin crimson and cobalt blue. If you're using this color wheel, which is the same colors that we're using. So this is where you would stick with these colors. These. When you're creating your painting, let's say if you're going to start up a new painting and you're going to use your colors, you could actually just start out with your primaries, French ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson, cad yellow. Use those three primaries. Maybe you could add in another, maybe you could add in some burnt umber to it if you want to gray down some of these colors and add some burnt umber to those. But if you use all those colors and then when you're going in, maybe it's like a landscape painting or flower painting and you want to add in shadows, you can mix up you don't even have to go into one of your tube colors. Like this is a ultramarine violet, which is a purple or a violet color that I have. That's from Winsor Newton. It's a great, great purple, violet color. I use it all the time. But if you just wanted to kind of stick with the same colors in your color wheel and not really go over to something that's a little bit different, you can stick right with your alizarin crimson and alizarin crimson and French ultramarine blue, and you'll have a perfect violet. I made a smudge here. You can kind of see how I didn't do a great job with this swatch here, but I got some odd-looking marks there, cauliflowers or blossoms or blooms as they're called. But I kind of corrected it quickly. And this is, again, using the Fabriano Studio watercolor paper, you can a lot of times fix problems that you might have with smudges and blossoms and blooms and kind of like awkward spots on your paper. All right, so there we go. We have completed a second color wheel. Now we're going to go here and just call this our secondary. Secondary. And our secondary here. Okay. And then we're going to do the same thing up here. We're just going to go out and create our tertiary colors. You can use a ruler once it dries. So if you want to have these lines coming out from your color wheel and you want to have them a little more accurate, I'm doing these by hand, of course, but you could always let this dry 100%. You can use a blow dryer for 2 or 3 minutes and blow dry this all off right now. And then you can just keep working and then use your ruler to get your lines a little more perfect if you wanted to for your tertiary colors that we're going to do out here. But it's up to you. You could have as much time invested in this as you want, or you could just do it more quickly like I'm doing it. It's up to you. And then I will use my same stencil I used before to do the tertiary colors just like this. Like that. And one more. Okay. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back and finish up our tertiary colors, and then one more session after that we are going to create some beautiful color mixes from some of these color wheel mixes that we've already created. So we already have one color wheel completed. We're doing our second one obviously now with different colors, different primary colors from our same palette that we use on a constant basis here on my channel. And we'll come back. And I hope you're going to give me a thumbs up if you like this video. And if you give me a thumbs up, that means you're going to want to see more of these videos. If I don't see a lot of thumbs up on this video, well, then I know not too many of you pretty much many of you don't like the video. But if you really want me to create more videos like this, the perfect way, if you like any video that I create, if you're thumbsing up, if everyone's thumbsing up in the video portion below where you see all the thumbs, and you can leave comments too and say, hey Chris, I really want to see more of these. It's up to you. You know, I'm painting for you and creating these videos for everyone out there. So, just let me know what you think. Thumbs up, of course, is a simple way. You don't have to really leave a comment. If you leave a thumbs up, I know you really enjoy this type of a video, and I'll create more of these. But you always know my standard format for my channel is lots of paintings, and then once in a while we just kind of step back a few and take a little break and work on some of these fundamentals. Okay, all right. We'll be right back to finish up this, and then we're going to go another 15 or 20 minutes just to mix up some other kind of interesting color mixes that we can create, some grays, some beautiful gray colors. Okay, so now we're going to work on our tertiary colors with our brand new set of primary colors. And again, we were saying that we wanted to use another 3 primary colors from this palette that we use all the time on my channel. So I'm not really changing anything really in essence. If you work on my channel on a regular basis and you're painting along with us here on my channel, you'll notice I didn't change any of my colors. My colors are always the same. I keep my colors the same at all times in my palettes. For this one palette right here, I'll never change any of the colors. They stay in the same exact location every time. And I actually make color charts, and you can always, if you want to have my color charts, you just email me. You just if you go to Google and you just type in chrispetri.com, you'll see my email there, and you can email me from that point on chrispetri.com, and I can send you over this palette in exactly the colors that are all in this palette. I can email you the actual cut sheets. So basically you can print them out on your home printer, or you can just save them on your laptop or your home computer, whatever it is. You'll have all the colors and exact locations, as well as my other palettes. I have about 3 other palettes that I have all of my colors set in permanently, and I don't ever change from those locations. So you'll see all my colors as they are in all of my palettes that I may use anytime on this channel, or even in my past videos. If you go back into my archives where I have hundreds of great videos you can go back and watch, you'll see I have different palettes back probably 2-3 years ago, even 5-6 years ago. You'll see I might have different palettes on YouTube when I'm painting back in, years ago, but I still have those same colors, and I still have the same color charts that you can use if you happen to want to be using any of the other palettes that I use different than this one here. So just a little tidbit of information for you. So let's keep going here. I might just change out my water. Again, fresh, clean water is always good to have when you're mixing color swatches and working with the color wheel, so that we kind of keep our colors more pure. So now we're going to do, again, the tertiary colors. So what we'll do is we can always take we can say yellow, green, blue, V for violet, R for red, O for orange. And then we can say, all right, let's start mixing out our tertiary. So we could say we'll take this orange. We'll come down here and say, okay, that's that orange there that we created from the red and the yellow. We'll take that orange and we'll mix it with a little more yellow, the lemon yellow. And that should give us our tertiary color here. And sure enough, that is a beautiful gold color, almost like a raw sienna. And that's from the orange and yellow mixture. Now we're going to come over here and we'll use our cadmium lemon with our green. So we have our green here. We can just leave our green like that. And then we just want to add more yellow, cadmium lemon yellow, to that green. And that's going to give us this tertiary color, which is like almost like a beautiful beautiful light green, because we added a little more yellow to that green here that we have, our secondary color. All right, let's move right on. Green and French ultramarine blue and our green. So let's recreate our green again. We said we made this green from the cadmium lemon yellow and the French ultramarine blue. I rinse off my brush, take a little bit of the French ultramarine blue, and there we go. We have our green. Now from that green, we want to add just a touch more of the French ultramarine blue. And there you have a beautiful green going towards a little cooler blue. That might be really beautiful for some landscape paintings where you have some trees and they're kind of in the distance. You want to make them a little cooler. So some cooler greens. You could use that in anything else too that you might think of, flower paintings, for some cooler green colors. All right, now I think I'm running out of space here. Oh, I have one more space up here. Let's use this one. So now we're going to go with blue, French ultramarine blue, and violet. So here we already have our violet mixed up. We're just going to add a little more French ultramarine blue to that. And you can see how great that looks. That is a violet with a little bit of a cooler feel to it, with a little more blue in it. And that's how we get that tertiary color of the violet and the blue. Primary blue and the violet, which is our secondary. Okay, we're going to come right on over. Now's a good, well, actually we have one more space up here. Let's use the space up here to create another alizarin crimson mixed with our violet. Now this was our tertiary color violet, so we really don't want to use that. We want to mix again our red, which is our alizarin crimson, straight alizarin crimson. We have that, and our violet. Now our violet was blue and alizarin crimson over here. Then we take a little bit of that alizarin crimson and put it into that. And there we have a beautiful, gorgeous alizarin crimson kind of merging with the violet to make it a little bit cooler in color. Not as much red and warm. It's going toward the cooler violet. But nonetheless, a beautiful light color for flowers. This would look beautiful for flower paintings. You could use this too for sunset paintings, anything like that. Sky with the beautiful warm colors of the sky. And really, it could have a lot of applications for that. Now, we're going to do our last tertiary color, and that's going to be alizarin crimson mixed with the orange. So now is the point. Well, I will try to keep things a little bit neat here. So I will just tidy up my palette. Okay. And then we'll start again with, to get our tertiary color, we said we're going to mix our primary color, alizarin crimson. So that's simple enough. Alizarin crimson. There we have that. Then we're going to mix the orange. Well, to get the orange, we had to mix alizarin crimson with the, rinse off the brush. And now we have the orange from the yellow and red, or the alizarin crimson and yellow, cadmium lemon yellow. That makes our orange for our secondary. So now we have our secondary color here, the orange, and the primary up here. And then if we take our primary here and mix that into this, we have our tertiary color. And that's a beautiful orange toward the red, warmer red. That could be a beautiful orange for an orange color, a tangerine, sunset colors, flower colors, you name it. You have a beautiful orange toward the red, almost like a red-orange color. So that's our second color wheel. We could actually do a third color wheel. We could take cerulean blue and maybe use for our primaries. We could use for a third color wheel. We could use the cerulean blue like this, right? And then we could use the yellow ochre up here for the second primary color. And then for our third red, we could use, like, this would be perfect, some beautiful rose madder. This could be really beautiful for flower paintings. I could definitely see this being beautiful for floral paintings, still life paintings with flowers. You can kind of see how this this is a beautiful, like, beautiful paint color for flowers. And this too is really nice for mixing some greens with the so if you have some yellow ochre and some cerulean blue, you can get some beautiful green colors like that. So that could be your third color wheel. So you could make 3 color wheels. The first one we did, this one here you can do, the second one. And we'll do the same thing here. Let's just kind of keep to our discipline here. Let's just call this primary colors, secondary colors, tertiary colors, and then we can come over here and call this tertiary. So I just want to keep everything really organized nicely and labeled. Tertiary. green, orange, violet. And then the tertiary colors you could also label, you could name those colors too. You could say this is like a blue violet for this, you know. This would be like a blue green. You could call this tertiary a yellow green, yellow orange, red violet. So you could name these tertiary colors too. And a lot of these tertiary colors make sense, right? Because we've kind of all heard of all those colors, right? Right? Well, let's go right around. You know, yellow orange. Yellow orange. This is a red orange. Red orange for the tertiary. This would be a red violet. This would be a blue violet. This would be a blue green. And this would be a yellow green. So you can label your tertiary colors the same to just keep things, you know, pretty much like all going in the same kind of. So our tertiary colors, tertiaries. Okay, then we said our secondaries were yellow. Highlights, yellow. Secondaries were yellow. I'd be careful. Try to really be disciplined and take your time when you're doing your highlights so that you don't maybe highlight the wrong secondaries. So we're making sure we kind of really stay focused here. Okay, secondary, violet. So we have our secondaries here. Fine, look at that. We have that good. And then, of course, primary colors. We'll do those in pink. Primary there, primary here. And that's it. We have everything highlighted and labeled correctly, perfectly. You don't need to add the highlights if you don't want to. Maybe the highlights are going to throw us off when we're looking at the colors. So maybe that's something we would reconsider and maybe say, you know what? But it's helpful for you to see the highlights, I think. So as I highlight these, it'll be good for you to see this on the video, the highlights on the video. But if I was to make a chart like this, I would not put the highlights on here. But I would probably use Sharpie markers over the top of the pencil lines. So the reason I would do that is if you do the pencil first and you write everything in pencil first, then if you have like an issue where you maybe spell something incorrectly or you maybe label something incorrectly, you can erase it. But then once you're all done with your whole entire chart and you think you have everything just right, then you can go over the top of the pencil with some Sharpie marker, some fine point. You could go over the top of your pencil lines with some really good Sharpie marker. Fine point Sharpie marker or your medium point Sharpie marker. If you make a larger chart, you could use the medium or the fine point, the medium point or the super fine point, the very ultra fine point. So you could make this more of like, you know, a really fun exercise of creating a beautiful chart. Colors, these are things you're always going to refer back to. So if you make a really great chart, maybe you make this first one a little bit, you know, maybe you make a couple of these like we did here, just like this, like I did them. Then when you have time, maybe in a week or two or a month or two or whatever, and you have a little more time or you want to put a little more time into it, maybe you make these charts a little bit larger. Maybe you make like a 16 by 24 format or like a little bit larger format. And then, you know, have everything with the Sharpie markers and the pencils, and maybe you use like, you know, use the ruler for everything. You can make some really straight lines and keep everything really neat. It's up to you. Some of you I know are like neatniks and you like to do things just right, just perfect. So you can make this as perfect as you want to. You can use T-square rulers to get all of your writing on your charts perfectly level across. It's up to you. If you like to make these more fun, like kind of impromptu, like I just did here, fine. But yeah, have fun with it. Just enjoy it. And it also will kind of solidify in your mind the primary colors, the secondary colors, the tertiary colors, and then how you can use those in your paintings to mix them and kind of come up with a lot of creative colors without kind of guessing on things when you're in there doing your paintings. You can kind of just refer back to your charts. So, and it's also too to do, to just do some fun creative mixing too. I do that all the time where I just mix any old color I like to. But these are just kind of fundamentals that you could work from if you, let's just say you want it to be a little more strict with your color mixing and what colors you're using in your paintings. All right, so now let's take another quick break, one more break, and when we come back, we'll just mix a few of our fun colors that we've worked with so far just to create some interesting grayish colors that we might be able to use in our paintings to kind of work into the paintings and more of the calmer passages of our paintings, because we always kind of talk about how we don't want to have all high intensity colors in the whole entire painting that we're creating. We want to mix in some really calmer, mellower, grayish colors into our paintings as we're working our compositions, so that you'll have some areas with really some colors that pop and look really good with some straight paint. And then you want to have other colors that are going to be more grayed down like this on the outside of your color wheel that are going to kind of look mellow, and it makes it exciting where you have more of a mellow areas of color, and then you got some really exciting colors that are popping and looking really great on your colors in your paintings. All right, so we're going to take another quick break, and then we'll come back, and we'll just mix a couple fun mixtures of colors, some of my favorites that I'll do, and then at that point you can go ahead and actually do some of your own creating and have fun with mixing some gray colors off of your charts that we've already created here. And we'll see you in just a second. All right, so now we're kind of wrapping things up. We're just going to do about another 10 or 15 minutes of some color mixing using some of the colors that we've worked with so far, but we're not going to be too strict about it. Let's just, we'll set our charts aside for right now, and we'll just kind of think about what we've done so far. We had our really great exercise of creating some beautiful color charts, our color wheel. I'll set this new bit of paper down here, and I'll have some drafting tape or Scotch tape, whatever you have. You just tape down your paper all the time so that it doesn't move around. And that's what we'll do here. Just keep ourselves going in the right direction. Okay, so there we have it. 4 pieces of tape on each of the corners of the paper so it doesn't slide around or move around on us. And then the next thing we'll do is, again, now if you have stencils, you can use stencils to create your squares. You can do some square swatches in here. We'll do some square swatches here. So if you have a stencil at this point, let me see if I have a stencil close by. All right, I'm in luck. I have a couple of stencils here. This one looks pretty good. I think we'll do maybe this here. Now, I try not to lean this into my paint, so I might just kind of go up above here and do like a little bit of a creative bit of squares here. And that's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can draw these by hand. That's fine. Am I still on the paper? Yes. These make it quicker. Like if you don't feel like you want to draw them by hand, you can use these stencils like that. Okay, so now let's just have fun now and not really get to... You're going to want to, for yourself, you're going to pick out some of your favorite colors. Just come up with some ideas. What I think the first idea I'd like to try out is, I'm going to pour some more fresh, clean water in my water bucket, of course. I'm going to clean up my palette a little bit here just so I can start out now fresh. Clean up all the colors that are on here. Let's keep a fresh, clean palette. Okay. Let's try to create some gray colors from our complementary colors. So complementary colors would be those colors that are across from each other on the color wheel. So let's keep these simple. This is the first chart we did where we used the cobalt blue, cad red, and cad yellow for our primaries. And then we worked those colors out to our secondaries and tertiaries colors. So now let's use this chart and get some grayish, beautiful grayish colors by using the complementaries across from one another. So red's complementary color is green, which is exactly across from each other on the color wheel. So your red and your green will create a beautiful grayish color. Let's see how it looks. Let's set that aside for right now, and let's just go in and mix that color combination. Now we remember with the red we use the primary, which is cad red, like this, right? Cad red. But this green is actually a primary and a secondary color, or it's a secondary color from two primaries. So we have to make our green now. Let's make our green over here, which is cad yellow, cadmium yellow, cad yellow, and cobalt blue. So we'll grab a little bit of cobalt blue. Okay, so now we make our cobalt blue and cad yellow into a green like that. There we go. Now we have a beautiful green and our cad red. So let's try that. Let's see how they look. Let's start over here on this side. Let's just kind of meet them up in the middle. Let's do the green over here like that. And we're going to work a little bit expeditiously here. We don't want to go too slowly with this. We have our cad red. Okay, now we just want to take these two and kind of mix them in the middle. See what we have. Ah, kind of interesting. Well, let's just keep going. Let's not get hung up on that. Let's just keep going. We could even do a little more red over here. Like that. And pick up a little more of that green. But that is a really good looking color combination for sure. All right, let's go with, why not? Let's go with yellow violet. So now we said yellow would be the primary color, but violet is actually the blue and the red together. So we have to do the same thing as we did just a second ago. We're going to have to create, let's do the yellow first. That's easy, straight yellow. Like that, so that's good, yellow. Then we're doing the complementary color of yellow, which is, again, purple or violet. How did we make our violet? Red and blue in this. So we have to go red over here. And we use cobalt blue to make our violet. And there we go. We have it. Then we take these two. And maybe we just start it out like that. Pick up our violet. If you want to make a little more violet, we can do that. Cobalt blue and cad red. A little more cobalt blue there, a little more cad red. And then we can just blend those together. See how they look. Blending them together. How does that look? That looks pretty good. That might be beautiful for like landscapes or seascapes, or even this could be great for city scenes where you have some buildings and things like that, where you want to have some grayish, shadowy colors in your buildings, and then you have some more bright sunlit areas of your buildings, so you can create beautiful gray colors with your complementary colors of yellow and violet. Complementary colors. Okay, let's do one more from here. Well, let's do orange and blue. Okay, so simple enough. We want to go with blue, straight blue, which is blue on the color wheel, but now we're going to go with violet, which is a secondary color, so that's no problem. We just have to mix red and yellow. So we just take some yellow over here and some cad red there. We get that orange color, and then we just put the orange here, which is our two complementary colors, orange and blue. Orange over here, like that. Just get some on the paper there, and then go right into your blue over here, straight cobalt blue. And then mix them together and see what happens. And look at that. Wow, that looks really good too. Rinse off your brush. Maybe you have a tissue or a paper towel to dry off your brush. And then you can just really just use a damp brush to kind of blend those up together like that. But you'll see, that is some beautiful color right there. That's your nice grayish colors where your eye can rest. And then your eye can go, oh wow, look at that's a beautiful orange. Oh, my eye can rest now. That's a kind of a, that's a nice grayish color there. And then, ooh, look at that, a nice exciting blue. That's how it kind of can work in your paintings if you have some passages of grayish colors and then you have some high intensity colors working for you. Having both of those kind of ideas of color where you're mixing to get some gray colors, and then you're also putting in some really high intensity straight tube colors or your straight primary colors and secondary colors even for that matter. Let's try maybe let's do one more. What do we have? We have blue, orange, green, red. Okay, we did all of the complementary colors for this color wheel. Which were 3. Let's do 3 more. Let's do these now. Let's do the same thing. Red and green. So how did we get this red? Well, simple. We just used alizarin crimson. And then for this green we used, so alizarin crimson, simple enough to get our mix here for our swatch. For our complementary colors, red and green. Red is simple. That's just straight alizarin crimson. Now we have to mix this green. So we're going to use our primary color, which was cadmium lemon yellow. And then we have to go with our French ultramarine blue. Okay. Okay, there we go. There's our 2 colors. Alizarin crimson, complementary color green, which is French ultramarine blue, and alizarin crimson. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that would be, this is actually cobalt blue and cadmium yellow, lemon. So let's do the green over here. So that's our green, which is yellow and blue. In this color wheel, it's cad yellow lemon and French ultramarine blue mixed together gets our green. That's our green over here. And this is just straight alizarin crimson right there. And then we'll just do that here. Rinse off our brush and then come over here Start over on this side with your straight alizarin crimson, like that, and then slowly work it together. See what we have. And that's another really good looking mixture. A little more green in there. A little bit of cad red over, alizarin crimson over here. Okay, so you see how that we're mixing our complementaries. Let's do another one. Let's do the same as we did here. Let's go to our next one. Yellow and violet. Okay, so we're using a primary yellow, cad yellow. Cadmium yellow. Is that a lemon? Yeah, that's a cad yellow lemon. I might not have made my chart correctly there. Yeah, I forgot to add the lemon on this cadmium chart here, because it is a lemon yellow. All right, so let's do that. Let's do the lemon yellow here. Cadmium yellow lemon. There. And then we do the complement. Violet. Well, how do we get violet here? Alizarin crimson and French ultramarine blue. That's over here. We already had it mixed up here, so we might as well just mix it right down on here, like that. And then we mix it like this. And look at how beautiful that is. Looking great. So we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and then we have one more possibility of another complementary color, and that would be blue and orange. So here, simple enough, French ultramarine blue, primary. That's all we need over here. And then to make our orange, we're going to need red and yellow, which is alizarin crimson and cad lemon yellow. Let's fix this here. So let's do this here. Let's just make sure we add this here, cad yellow lemon. That's a big difference from the cad yellow. Cad yellow lemon's way cooler in color. Okay, so again, we're going to go with orange and blue. How do we get our orange? Cadmium yellow lemon and red. Orange and French ultramarine blue. French ultramarine blue. Get lots of it. Get some high intensity, thick paint on there too. We've been kind of going a little thinner here with our paint, but don't be afraid. Get your paint on there thick. Really get it on there. Rinse off your brush and then sort of blend in that blue to a thinner, more transparent blue like that. Sort of blend it in there so you have some areas where you're starting to thin it out. Then we're going to go with our orange. Let's get our orange over here. Let's keep it straight orange right over here on the edge. And then we mix it on over. Rinse off our brush, dry off our brush a little bit on a paper towel, tissue, and then blend that on together. I guarantee, look at how good that looks. Rinse off my brush, dry it off on a tissue, paper towel. Maybe a little more yellow in there. Orange, I should say. Battle back and forth with this. Battle back with the blue. Battle over here with the yellow. The orange, I should say. Take the orange, battle back over here with the orange. Take the blue, battle that into that. And you can see how you can get some really beautiful color mixes on your finished paintings by just using simple complementary colors on your color wheels. And if you want to have a little variety in your paintings, you can use different primary colors. Again, we used 2 different color wheels. We just changed the colors, the primaries. So you see how we did that? You see it, you understand it. You've now got yourself some more tools in your toolbox as a watercolor artist for mixing colors, creating new and interesting colors in your paintings. I'm glad you joined me here. Again, I'm hoping you'll subscribe on the right-hand side below. If you like these videos, I'll be creating lots more videos. I'm always creating new videos every week after week, month after month, and year after year. I'm always here. So if you subscribe, if you consider subscribing on the right-hand side below, all that's going to do is the next time you open up your YouTube channel, you will see that I've created a new video, and you'll be ready to click on it and join along, okay? All right, have a wonderful day, a wonderful morning, a wonderful evening, and we'll see you next time very, very soon.